everybody. I'm going to try and keep this series going with trying to get this wrapped up here. I'm now working on the reverse input drum on the 4L60E, and a little bit of my gold trans gel to the bushing surfaces, to the pump stator surface. Just gently placing the drum down on top of the pump. I do like to build the drum this way. You don't have to. You can just build it by itself. This is the outer lip seal for the reverse input piston. The lips on this piston, on the changeable seals, do face down into the drum. I have seen units come in, believe it or not, where people have the lip seals upside down. How they were able to get the pistons into the drum, I don't know. You would have to really hammer it in there, basically. But it's very simple to install the seals. You just gently, place them into their groove, and you can see how I'm kind of squeezing it, together on the inside seal and the outside seal, trying to help it form to where it's, going around this piston. I will add, trans gel to the lip seals themselves and to the mating surfaces on the drum. As you can see here, I'm adding it to the lips on the piston where I've changed the seals. You don't need a ton, but I mean, more does help sometimes if you're having a stubborn seal, depending on how you're trying to install it, with a feeler gauge, a loop tool, a Transtech little green disc, whatever your method is. I just use trans gel. I don't use feeler gauge. I use a loop tool, and that's how I install the lip seals on every unit that I do. It's not, this one can be kind of a pain to do sometimes. It just, you have to have like equal pressure. It's like if the piston drops on one side when you're installing it, it'll be a little harder to get in, and that's my loop tool there. It's seen better days. I need a new one, really. But I'm just gently, I push the loop tool down in past the seal, and I'm just, it's not real hard to drag it around, but, I'm just moving it while I'm putting a little bit of pressure downward, and right there you can see where only half of the piston went down. So the half that's still raised up, I have to keep working in there. It kind of went off center on me again. Now it's to the opposite side, and you can see my tool there is getting a little worse for wear. But when it goes down halfway like that, if you kind of pull up a little bit on the opposite side and then use your tool and twist like I just did there, and rotating it down in while you're twisting, they'll go in pretty easily. But I have seen people fight with these forever, and then they'll end up cutting the seal and things like that. The return spring, which is nice and clean, it looks new, but it's not. It is cleaned. And then over to the press to put it in. Now, if you see, this has those 4 keepers that I always talk about on return springs. You can see them there, the 4 nubs on the return spring itself. That is where you do not want the gap of the snap ring to expose one of those. You want the gap to be in between any one of those, like those raised edges of the return spring. It helps capture the snap ring. I was trying to figure out how to edit it in Premiere Pro to zoom in to show you guys a little better, but I haven't quite figured that out yet. But you can see how I'm just installing it by hand, and my open area of the snap ring is in between 2 of those nubs on that return spring, so it captures the snap ring entirely. And if you don't do that, you run the risk of it, when it applies and releases, sometimes the ring can actually get popped out of the groove. Now onto the stack of the drum, back on the pump, we have a conical shape dished steel that basically acts like a wave steel or a cushion plate, really. They do come in variable thicknesses, like 71 thousandths, 91, 51. I'm not changing it on this one at all. I'm just leaving it as is. There's no reason to change it. As far as the frictions and steels, it'll take 4 flat steels and 4 frictions. The steels that I'm using are just the non-turbolator steels, which are 78 thousandths, and then the frictions are going to be 70 thousandths because it's an 87 up friction. The end play, or the clutch gap on the reverse input drum, the book calls for between 40 and 76. This one, I mean, it's just like all the other ones. I'll leave it as it is. It's probably right around like 55, 60 thousandths, which is fine. You can tighten it up if you want your 10 thousandths per plate. You could use a thicker friction, like an early model, 82 to 87 would be 78 thousandths. You could pick up 8 thousandths per friction if you use the earlier style friction. Or, like I said, you can get oversized steels at 90 thousandths as well. The snap rings, there's no selective snap rings that I'm aware of for the clutch pack. There is selective pressure plates. You can also, adjust your gap set that way as well. But like I said, I'm not changing it. To air check it, you can see the port that I'm using to air test it and make sure that the piston is applying and releasing. You can see where the drum actually popped all the way off of the pump. And again, that's due to using the scarf cut rings. The solid rings, you won't have that happen. And like I said, I feel the scarf cuts are a better seal because it builds pressure behind the ring and then pushes it outward for more positive seal. So it is air checking fine. There's nothing wrong with it, and it looks like it's ready to go. I will confirm it by air checking again while I'm rotating the input drum that's splined to those clutches, and then I'll hit it with air to confirm that it is stopping. Just another step that I do when I'm checking it along the way. But I will be going on to the 3-4 stack on the next video. Thanks for watching.